Hello Bulls Nation, my name is Aiden and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to be discussing the 3 proposed trade targets for the Chicago Bulls to pursue during this regular season. And at the end of the day, I think all 3 of them have some compelling arguments as to why they could be trade targets. And I'm not going to lie, I don't really have a problem with any of them on this list, which goes to show this might be something that the Chicago Bulls could potentially look at down the line. But before we get any further, if you like the video and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, or subscribe depending on where you're watching this from, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls and who would you bring in to this Chicago Bulls team out of the 3 proposed trade targets. And without further ado, let's get started with number 1 being Mike Conley. If there was a way to get Mike Conley into this team, I'm more than happy to see it. I think you guys know me very well. Over the last couple of years, I've talked about point guards. I've really enjoyed Mike Conley's game. There's a couple of players that I would really enjoy seeing the Chicago Bulls sign. Drew Holiday would be one of them, but again, I know how unrealistic that is. Mike Conley was another one of them. So again, a defensive guard that can pretty much do everything on the court. He can shoot, he can pass, he can defend. He's a veteran as well, so he can provide some experience. He has playoff experience. He can go with his right and his left, but he's mainly a lefty. Again, there's so much with Mike Conley that it actually makes me smile when I see his name in a trade proposal list. But there is a problem there, and they even mentioned it in the article. It's his contract. He is making well over, I think, what was it, 20 million, more than 20 million this upcoming season. I think he's on the last year of his deal. So it's more likely that the Bulls could pursue in free agency if he was going to be a free agent. But either way, he's going to be in for some big money. So can the Bulls really afford that at this time? I don't think they can. So as much as a proposed trade for Mike Conley sounds ideal on paper, I think it's a little bit too unrealistic for the Chicago Bulls. But hey, if we can make it work in some way, form, or fashion, I would love to see Mike Conley on this team. You want to know another reason why I think Mike Conley is so perfect for the Chicago Bulls? Let's think of a hypothetical situation, right? Because Mike Conley is a veteran. He's up there in age. He's not going to have a long-term future with the Chicago Bulls, right? We have a point guard that is still working his way back, trying to get back into the NBA in Lonzo Ball. Let's say Lonzo Ball does come back. Everybody has this argument when we talk about point guards is, will they take Lonzo Ball's spot? Well, at the end of the day, it could be a situation where if Lonzo Ball does come back and proves to be the same Lonzo Ball where he was a couple of seasons ago, then Mike Conley is a bench option and he's a veteran that will probably accept that role. So that's what makes me so intrigued about a Mike Conley acquisition, is what made me so intrigued about a Chris Paul acquisition as well from free agency if that was going to happen. Because these guys, you know, they could be coming off the bench. They're not exactly young, upcoming players with a point to prove. They're veterans. They've done what they need to do in the NBA, and they're going to be sharing that experience with everybody on the team. And they're also capable starters if we need them to start. If Lonzo Ball comes in and gets a bench position for the Chicago Bulls for the start, Mike Conley can be a starter, and it will work. Same as him coming off of the bench, it will work. That's what I like about a guy like Mike Conley. But again, I think it's a tad bit unrealistic to be thinking about that, but if we could make it happen, I would do everything in our power for the Bulls to make it happen. Maybe not everything, but I would like to see Mike Conley here. The next one is Tyus Jones. This is very self-explanatory. Tyus Jones is a player that the Chicago Bulls, I think, have been looking at for ages. Bulls fans love Tyus Jones. The vast majority of them do anyway. They think he's the perfect point guard because, again, he's a guy that can facilitate the ball well. He can get his own when he needs to, but he's not going to be a primary go-to guy. He's not a superstar point guard, and we don't need a superstar point guard. We need everybody that could get people in their sets, do some, I guess, have some great playmaking ability to his name and be a very capable point guard, even when it comes to shooting the ball and stuff like that. People looked at Tyus Jones from Memphis and said this would be a perfect starting point guard for the Chicago Bulls. I think this one is a tad bit more realistic because I'm unsure of his actual current situation, and that is the best I could really put it. We don't really know what's going to happen with Tyus Jones in the near future, so I think the Bulls should be very much knocking on the door and keeping their eyes and ears open for Tyus Jones. If there's something that comes up available throughout the season, I think the Bulls should try to go in for a guy like Tyus Jones and see what they could get out of that situation. It's something I hope we don't let slip by. The only reason I wouldn't want Tyus Jones is if, for example, Kobe White thrives in that point guard position, we might not need a Tyus Jones. Or if maybe Io gets back to the highest level he could possibly get. Maybe we don't need that point guard anymore because we have so many of them. But, you know, you're asking for things that you don't know is going to happen. With Tyus Jones, you've seen his stats over the past couple of seasons. That's why people want him. Last but not least, Doug McDermott, a Bulls reunion with Doug McDermott. Now, it's definitely not out of the question, but again, this is going to help with the shooting aspect of this team. What I like about Doug McDermott is, again, he's a naturally really good shooter. He's gotten better defensively every season, I would say, but he's still not a very good defender. But I think he's a guy that could probably come in and have a very solid second stint with the Chicago Bulls, being able to shoot the ball, being able to be a veteran now that knows where his shots are coming from, knows what he could be able to do with the ball and stuff of that nature. And he's also going to be a guy coming off of the bench and being able to provide that shooting, I guess, from the forward positions. Yeah, Doug McDermott, again, I think his contract is not too heavy as well. I would very much like a reunion with Doug McDermott, but we've got to keep in mind, we don't know how the Bull shooting is actually going to look like right now. So let's just say because of the shooting coach, because of guys like Javon Carter, because of guys like a Torrey Craig, that our three-point shooting actually does improve. We're taking more threes. We're shooting them at a better efficiency. All of a sudden, we've become a very good three-point shooting team. We don't need a guy like Doug McDermott anymore, do we? This trade or this trade proposal, in my opinion, is in the assumption that our three-point shooting is going to remain the same. And that's something we don't know yet. So I wouldn't necessarily trade for Doug McDermott right now. You know, if the trade came out right now for Doug McDermott, I'd be a tad bit hesitant. But let's just say throughout the season, we see this Bulls team has not really gotten any better from the three-point line. Doug McDermott is the guy that I would be looking at because I don't think he's massively expensive. I think we could get a good deal out of that. I think his contract is fairly okay, and we know he can shoot the ball. We've seen it with the Bulls. We've seen it with every team he's been on. He can do moving threes. He can do corner threes. The guy can shoot from anywhere. So I would like to see a Doug McDermott, I guess, second stint, reunited with the Chicago Bulls. But again, I would wait for that deal instead of making that type of thing straight away. Bear in mind, these are not necessarily factual trades that we're looking at. It's proposed trades. It's fan-sided, making an article suggesting which Bulls targets should the Bulls go after. So none of these are official. They're not even rumors. They're just a conversation starter. And that's what we've talked about in this video. But it's not often that I look at an article and say, I like every single player on that list and I'd like them all with the Chicago Bulls. It doesn't very rarely happen. So fair play to them on making a list that I don't really have much to dispute about. So yeah, fair play to them. Good article. Enjoyed it. And fair play for, I guess, bringing those people out there for the world to see. And the world can maybe have their own creative minds about this situation. Let's wait and see what ends up happening down the line. Who knows? Maybe one of them will be a Chicago Bull by the trade deadline. Thank you all so much for watching. Drop a like and a follow or subscribe if you are new. I will see you in the next Chicago Bulls related video. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.